up, guys? Well, I wanted to do a quick talk today about arcades and our memories with them. Because we were talking about, is retro going to die and all this stuff, and everybody has their different opinions, and that's awesome. But one thing I will tell you, too, to that point, is I thought about, man, arcades. Do you ever see young people in arcades? Yup. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is if you think that they don't care about the games or they don't like the games or something like that, I don't know, man. They have a lot of fun when I'm at Galloping Ghosts and they're all sitting there playing. And there's little kids like Nathan. There's kids that gotta be like 16, 17. They're all playing the games. You know what I mean? Like, these are all games from the 90s, 80s, sometimes 70s, you know? But anyways, the talk is about arcades, about a thing that has kind of come and gone because of emulators. And so now everybody can play all these games at home, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. But let me tell you, what are some games back in the day that you played at the arcade that were awesome? Like, there's a lot that I never even knew about. Like, did I ever see Splatterhouse in the arcade? No, not at all. Did I ever see stuff like Contra or Super C in the arcade? No, bro, I didn't. When I was growing up, I never seen one of those machines. My big ones I played were X-Men. That was the one we were always trying to beat. Always. The furthest we ever got was Juggernaut. Didn't have enough money, man. And then, that Dungeons and Dragons game that came out, it was a beat-em-up. That was really popular, dude. People were hopping right on that when somebody got off. And I mean, man, they played the heck out of that game. I was almost a little intimidated to go play it with them, and I never did, because it was always older kids that were on it. And then there's the obvious ones of Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I mean, literally lines of kids playing that. I know Andrew Meter brought that up in videos a little while ago about how people would be at the arcade and they would be lined up to play that. Yeah, I would tap in once in a while and try to play and just get my ass handed to me by these older kids. And they all knew the fatalities and all this stuff. They were good as hell, dude. But, man, if I could go back and watch people go at it, that would have been fun to watch. I played Simpsons Arcade a lot. That was a really fun game. I always liked it, and if I was playing with somebody else, I always liked after the first stage, you had that one bonus stage where you had to tap the buttons really fast, and you'd pump up the balloon, you know? And I would always whoop the shit out of whoever I was playing. So that's why I liked it. And I would do it really fast, you know, and they'd be like, geez, you know, because I could tap buttons really fast. So I'd always take a lot of pride in that. I'd be like, yeah, I get to face him in this, you know. But you had to beat the big wrestler guy at the first boss, the one where his pants are falling down. And then, man, I remember when Tekken first came out. I remember choosing Jack all the time because he was like the army guy. I would always choose him, and that was a really fun game because back then those graphics were new. You know, that and Virtual Fighter and stuff. It was new and it was different looking. You were used to Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter and stuff is what you were used to. So seeing something like all those polygons and stuff was completely new and completely different. But, man, I remember at Pizza Hut playing the Superman arcade. That was a lot of fun. I think that one was Pizza Hut. One I guarantee you was Pizza Hut was Rambo Arcade, man. And I remember still playing that. For the longest time, I didn't see that game. And finally, I got an emulator. I got that Pandora's Box and everything. And when I went to Galloping Ghost, and I seen it again. And I was like, yes! This is it. I knew you could be Colonel Troutman and everything, and I played it. I still have never beaten that one, because on the last part, it's a checkpoint. You have to beat it. It's really tough, dude. It's really hard. So someday I want to get to that. So yeah, I remember playing that with my dad, or he let me and my brother play. But yeah, dude, Superman Arcade was awesome. I played that on the Pandora's Box. Really cool. And I'll tell you what. Something else I wanted to say rather than just pointing out games, because then there was the obvious stuff like I played WrestleFest when I was a kid, and I even thought back then, man, these graphics are awesome, you know, because I was going home and playing stuff like WrestleMania on the NES and stuff, so those graphics were amazing. Or even playing, you know, Raw. I remember a kid down the street had Raw on Super Nintendo, and I thought that was awesome. You know, we were like, dude, this game is sick. But WrestleFest was like next level. So there's multiple things about an arcade back then. You would go back then to an arcade, and it was all about those graphics. You know, you never had that at home. Those graphics were next level, and you could only experience that there. So it was a big deal to even watch the demos and be like, man. And some of the stuff was just so cool, you know. But the biggest thing was, which was really cool, was back then, you would try so hard at those arcade games. Me and my brother with like X-Men, we would try so hard because you didn't have unlimited quarters. It wasn't set to free play, man. This was, no, you had to put a quarter in every time you died, man. And you would try so freaking hard to not die, and you would team up with somebody else you're playing with or something, like, hey, grab that food, or grab that health or whatever. And you're really strategizing. And it was a really big deal back then. And I remember me and my brother would try so hard. Who knows how much money we had, but we did pretty well. Like, we did pretty well considering. I mean, it ain't like we had like $10 in quarters. Like, no, dude. We probably had like $4, something like that. And man, those were fun times. There was no save states, no rewind, no free play. No, get good, try to beat it, and try to see how far you can get. I remember in Simpsons, I never got as far as that woods level. The woods level where you fight the bear and everything. I think the furthest we got was beating the big Krusty the Clown balloon on the second level. And then we would get to that next level where it's kind of like I think that's the carnival or something on the next level, or I'm getting it mixed up, or the carnival is actually the second level. But I think I beat the Krusty the Clown balloon like once, and that is as far as I had gotten. But I had seen that Dream World before with the Itchy and Scratchy, and I'd seen somebody get that far, and I remember I put my quarter in after they were done, and I was kind of playing it, and just got massacred. You know what I mean? Because it gets really tough then. But yeah, those were fun times, man, because there was no cheating it. You know, you just had to do good, man. And I had this really cool segment that I really want to bring back on my channel. And let me know what you guys think. It was called Got Quarters, and you could probably search it, Megadan29 Got Quarters, and I think it'll come up. I don't know if I used to do tags back then or not. My name wasn't Megadan. My name was DDenny29, and that's because it was my old gamer tag, so I just made that my YouTube. But, so you could definitely type in DDenny29 Got Quarters. And I did all these segments where I was still just using my cell phone, and I would see how many quarters it took to beat these arcade games. And I'd play all kinds of the beat-em-ups, you know, and see how many it took. But, man, it just reminded me also of Galloping Ghost the other day. I love the games where you can't just pop quarters in and power through them. I like when you have to actually win, you know. We played Dynamite Duke, me and D. Tysonator. And we were playing Dynamite Duke, and it was mostly me, and he was watching. He helped on one boss, and that was it. But we were trying to strategize how to get through here, because when you lost, yeah, you just went back to the last checkpoint. There was no, like, just putting in another quarter and it gave you more life and you're playing. No, it was like you had to actually beat it like it was an actual game, you know? So it was awesome to kind of, like, get the pattern down and try to beat it. And he knew when I was going to beat it. He's like, oh, you got it right here. You got it. And just trying to figure it out. I wonder how much we spent, you know? It was probably a little bit more because you couldn't just power through it. But most beat-em-ups I played were about $5, maybe $4.50, $5, you know? And because they really start to get cheap at the end. And I thought that was also funny about arcades. Isn't it funny the developers at the end of those games, they would make the bosses so fucking cheap because they knew at that point, if you're an older guy and you're playing these games, you're at level 7 or you're at level 8 and you want to beat the game because you're so freaking close. You know what I mean? So they knew that. They knew that. So what'd they do? Make bosses kill you in like 2 hits. You know what I mean? The boss is super spammy, super bogus. And it's like, they knew they just wanted to get them more quarters out of it. You know, they wanted to get you on a couple more quarters and get you firing in them quarters to make more money on that machine, you know? It's just funny how developers, you could tell, just knew it. So they made them so cheap, dude. The first bosses, like on Ninja Turtles and everything, the first boss is very tolerable. Even the second boss, very tolerable, being, you know, Bebop and Rocksteady. But then you start to get a little further, and it starts to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So finally, like, Krang and stuff is so cheap, you know? And it's just funny how they knew that, you know? They're going to get you. But anyway, a lot of fun talking about arcades. What are some arcades you played? I know Double Dragon was not one I played very much of. I didn't see it very much in the arcades I had. I pretty much named to you what I can remember. I remember, obviously, Ninja Turtles and Turtles in Time. I had this other place called Nickel World. It took actually nickels to play, and it was supposed to be a cheaper route. And that's where I played Turtles in Time at. And I played Raiden. I don't know which one, but it was one of the Raiden games. And I remember that was super sick, man, because I just remember playing that shooter and I got all the way through it. I do think, no, it wasn't free play, because I remember where it was, and that would not have been free play. So it was nickels, but nickels, it was just a lot easier to have a couple rolls of nickels, and nickels serve the same as quarters. So Nickel World was awesome. We probably didn't go there enough as kids, and I don't know why, but anyway, it was a lot of fun, and I remember those games, but I don't remember much else except for games that were super hype. I never seen like Killer Instinct. I remember everybody being around NBA Jam though, because I remember seeing people get Shaq and everything, because we didn't know if Shaquille O'Neal was like a real thing. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I don't know if he's really in the game. But then, dude, people would do crazy codes in the arcade, and we'd see like crazy characters. We're like, what the heck? And I remember me and my brother would be saying that, because we'd look in the magazines in the grocery store and see all the different codes, and a lot of them, they had arcade codes in there. And the only thing that sucked, and the reason we didn't play a lot of arcade NBA Jam, though, was because you had to pay. Each quarter was a quarter of the game. So it was $1 to play a full game. And to be honest, $1 back then, you know, for a kid, that was kind of a lot, you know, because what I would do is I'd run over to Kohl's, which was right kitty corner to the arcade that I went to in the mall, and my mom worked there, and I would go there when my mom was working, and she'd go, oh, hey, because we rode our bike up there. We lived right next to the mall. I'd chain up my bike, and I'd go there, and I'd ask her for some quarters, and, you know, she probably gave me, like, $1.25, $1.50. It was nothing. And so I'd play a couple of games, and then I'd sit there and watch other people play, you know, and I didn't have much to play. But, yeah, I don't remember much other than that. I did see Shinobi and stuff back in the day, but I never really tried to play it. A lot of those older games that I see at Galloping Ghost and stuff like that, I didn't really play those. I didn't see those. I don't think my arcade had a lot of it, because they had a lot of ticket games too. Like, you know that ticket game that was called Rockin' Bowl? They had that. It'd always be like, Rockin' Bowl. And then they had the big cannons that shot the clown heads. You'd shoot the ball at them. They had skee ball. They had the basketball machine. They did have Run and Gun there. Run and Gun was like a third-person basketball game. It's actually got a SNES port, and I was playing it for a while. I need to get back to it. It was called NBA Give and Go. That was called Run and Gun in the arcade, and they had that. Yeah, it was a good arcade, man. They had some pinball machines over in the corner. So I remember they had like the Simpsons one. And I can't remember what else. I want to say there was like a Star Trek one or something. My dad would go over there and play those. I messed with pinball very rarely because I was not good at it. And usually pinball was actually kind of expensive. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 quarters to play. You know, another game I played, they actually had it at Galloping Ghost. It was called Time Traveler. And it was one of those games where it was real people playing, and you had to hit a button at the right time for him to survive whatever scenario he was in. And you had to choose a different scenario, and you know, it might be an Indian that pops out and tries to shoot him, and you had to choose how to dodge it. It was like Dragon's Lair, but it was real people. It was real actors and everything. So it was very unique. And so I definitely tried that. And that was a lot of fun as well. But that was another game I didn't play very much, but it looked so cool that I tried it a couple times. But I think it was like $1 to play. And you know what I'm saying? When my mom gave me like $1.50 or maybe $2, that was like half your money or almost all your money, you know, just to play one game. So usually I'd go play X-Men, that was $1/4, or Simpsons or something like that, or Ninja Turtles. Those were all $1/4, you know. But I don't remember anything like Double Dragon or 64th Street or any of these, Vendetta, or, man, there was a lot of those. I'd never seen like Revenge of Death Adder, Golden Axe. I never seen stuff like that. Never seen like the Beavis and Butthead. I've never seen Batman. Even like Superman, that was like a hard cab to find. I don't know where we played that at. Maybe it was the one in the other mall that I actually posted up on my Instagram the other day. Maybe that was it. I don't remember, but I played it somewhere. But yeah, a lot of good memories, man. I mean, awesome stuff. And again, WrestleFest was only $1, so I would play that. That was good stuff, and I'd always pick Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan every time. Which now it's funny that I don't pick them now. I pick pretty much. I pick maybe Ultimate Warrior sometimes, but I mostly pick like Ted DiBiase because I like his submission and I love $1 Million Man. Or I pick. I don't know, Mr. Perfect sometimes, but I hate how his Perfect Plex will hit the ropes and shit. So I don't pick him all the time. But yeah, anyway. Sometimes Earthquake, because he's just kind of cool. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get going to work. Share me your arcade stories. Let's go arcade stories. And what are some arcade machines that were in your place? What was the name of your arcade that you had near you? I wish I could remember the name of the one in the mall. I thought it was Replay, but I swear a woman told me it was something else. The person that owns Nickel World, she said that she was co-owner of that at one point. She told me the name of it. And I was like, man, I do not remember it being that, but I could just be forgetting. Obviously, I didn't worry about the name of it. I just knew, hey, arcade, you know. Anyways, guys, I'll talk to you.